Hey guys, welcome to another video where I am breaking down my rules one by one, going through what the rule is, how that looks in our relationship, and what my consequence is if I don't follow the rule. So this rule that I'm going to cover today is about my nonverbal respect of Coda and what the expectation is. So I am to maintain a pleasant tone, facial expression, and body language when I'm communicating. This really just boils down to the nonverbal respect. Coda expects me to have a facial expression that shows that I respect him. He wants me to use a tone of voice that is respectful and also the tone of my demeanor. That would be kind of the nonverbal part, is the tone of my demeanor. He wants me to be open. He wants me to have body language that expresses that I am respectful of him, that I am wanting to communicate in a productive way. And so this just really comes down to being very intentional about how I approach him. My facial expression is expected to be pleasant. And what that really means is that I am not, he doesn't want me scowling. He doesn't want me furrowing my brow. He doesn't want me kind of expressing with my facial expression that I don't really care what he has to say, right? And so that scowl, that furrowing the brow, the, rolling of the eyes, all of those things kind of just, they're extremely disrespectful, to be completely honest. And they communicate that I don't care what my head of household wants. I don't care what my head of household has to say. And so those are things that he is not going to accept in our communication. And so he doesn't expect me to have a smile on my face if I'm expressing something that is upsetting to me. He doesn't expect me to be, fake in my expression. He wants me to have an appropriate expression, but something that is expressing what needs to be expressed. And anger or indifference is not ever appropriate to express towards my head of household. He wants me to express myself with a facial expression that shows that I am open to receiving his leadership, his guidance, and his authority. And so if I'm telling him something that is more serious, he's okay with me having a more serious expression. It's more of just understanding that a expression that shows, anger or resentment or indifference or frustration, those are all things that are inappropriate, because those are inappropriate things to feel towards my head of household. You may disagree. You may think that those are, things that it's okay to feel towards your head of household. And maybe you can't stop yourself from feeling those sometimes, but you can definitely stop yourself from expressing them. I personally do not think that they are appropriate to even feel towards your head of household. And if I ever feel those things towards Coda, I do go to him and admit it. I confess that I have felt these negative feelings towards him, and I ask for correction, because I'm not okay with feeling that way towards my head of household. And so he definitely has the expectation that I do not show that through my body language. Now, because body language is in these little nonverbal forms of disrespect, because they are more subconscious, because they are not necessarily chosen, he has decided that the least severe consequence that this will ever receive is an extended correction. Basically, a spanking that is longer than our standard correction of 4 minutes. It's shorter than our standard punishment of, I think, 12 minutes. But an extended correction falls in between. It is an 8-minute spanking. And so it is something to be taken seriously. It is something that I do not necessarily want to go through. And so it definitely is a motivation to avoid breaking this rule. And it's a motivation to be more intentional, to be more aware of my body language, of my facial expressions, of these nonverbal forms of disrespect, because I want my head of household to be respected beyond just, avoiding the consequence. I want my head of household to feel respected. I want to have productive communication. I want to be appropriate in how I'm communicating. And so that is why this rule exists, is because it is a goal, and it is something that if it doesn't happen, it really does deserve punishment. And that is why Coda has set it up this way. That is why he has set it as the minimum consequence is an extended correction, and he can always choose a higher consequence depending on the circumstance. But that is what that is. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know if you have any questions about this rule, or if you what your takes are on this. So we will talk to you next time.